Hey YouTube, how you going? It's your boy Brooksy back again with another sneaker review. This time we're going to review the Nike Off-White Vapor Street in toy yellow. I recently got this from GOAT and I got it in a size 12.5 women, which is equal to a size 11 men. Alright, you can see from the box, color description is toy yellow, black, light bone. Opening the box, we see the yellow paper with the off-white, with the new off-white logo on it. Taking that aside, there's also a secondary white tissue paper, and when you peel that away, you reveal the shoe itself. Okay, this is the left side of the shoes. Now, I must admit I wore these over the weekend because I was very anxious to put them on and see what they were about and see how they felt and stuff like that. And I must say, the shoes are very comfortable. Anyway, we'll get to that later. All right, so we start off with the very famous spikes that are on the outsole of the shoe. There are rubber spikes with a square base, and those spikes are on some pods that are white in color, kind of off-white in color, and those pods are attached to the light bone outsole and midsole, made of this foam here. I think it's probably the ZoomX foam. Anyway, in addition to the spikes, there's some little additional underlays or additional designs under the spikes that are a light kind of pink color. You can see the extended oversized Nike swoosh that extends from the midsole onto the upper. On the lateral side, on the medial side, you get a silver swoosh in its usual position, stretching from the back tab to the middle of the shoe. Now, the Off-White Vapor Street has this fin heel design, which is Nike's new design element when it comes to their running sneakers and their performing running sneakers, such as the Pegasus line of shoes and the Vapor Streets and the Alpha Flyers and those sort of sneakers. Now, the entire upper is made of a suede material, but that suede material is covered by this transparent plastic material, which kind of resembles a very flat bubble wrap. Now, it doesn't really feel bubbly, but it has a similar bubble wrap kind of construction, and it feels like a bubble wrap with very small squares. And this is not just applied onto the shoe or stretched over the shoe. It is applied on the shoe, but it is stitched in many parts of the shoe. For instance, along the lace holes, along this panel here, it's stitched on there. It's stitched onto the front of the toe. It's stitched onto this heel counter, and it can't just be peeled back and removed easily. If you were to remove this, you would have to cut it and cut away at the stitching to where it's anchored to the upper of the shoe. Now, the upper of the shoe is done in toy yellow, and again, it's in a suede material and probably a combination of suede and mesh. There might be some mesh and suede panels underneath here, but it's done in this toy yellow color. Now, there's additional fly wire anchors that anchor from inside of the shoe. These are probably anchored to the outsole, and these are made to accommodate a secondary lace, which is done in this kind of pink orangish kind of color. And in the usual off-white style, the lace has shoelace in inverted commas on both sides with a black aglet, a black kind of rubberized aglet. In addition to that, well, this lace goes all the way, it goes all the way around the shoe, and it's anchored in front here with this kind of black plastic, a black plastic anchor by where your big toe would be. On the medial side, it has the usual off-white branding, off-white for Nike Vapor Street, describing which model it is: Beaverton, Oregon, USA, copyright 2019. If you peel back the plastic by the heel, you would see a Nike text done in white against a silver heel tab. And the shoe has black shoelaces, again with the usual off-white shoelaces in inverted commas, in quotation marks. In addition to that, it has a very nice foam blue tongue with the old traditional Nike text with an orange swoosh. The tongue itself is done in the usual off-white manner with the exposed foam, and that basically covers the upper of the shoe. In addition to that, you would see a very vibrant toy yellow insole with the off-white logo and some little text on it, and a very elongated Nike swoosh. Now, I wore this shoe a couple times over the weekend, and I must say it does get a lot of attention. All right, it gets a lot of attention, it turns a lot of heads, it gets a lot of questions asked about, what type of shoe it is, how does it feel, how do the spikes feel. Now, I can say something in terms of how the spikes feel. The spikes here, they do not really get in the way, and they don't impact on the comfort of the shoe. What I would say is that they actually increase the comfort of the shoe, because when you walk on them, they bend back this way, they bend back like this, right? They bend back, and what they do is actually give you an additional couple millimeters of cushioning, right? And they feel very springy and bouncy under your feet. Okay, and when you take them off, and when you take off when there's not the weight being exerted on the spikes and on the shoe itself, they basically spring back into their normal position. Now, I imagine it's going to take quite a while for these to wear down, but until they do wear down, you're going to have that additional comfort that comes from the bounciness of the spikes. However, I'll just say one thing: you have to be very careful wearing this on any kind of wet surfaces, like wet tiles and stuff like that, wet painted surfaces, wet concrete, even wet or polished surfaces, because you could slide around a lot with these on, and you could probably fall and injure yourself. So you have to be very careful in using these on any kind of wet surface. Now, I almost forgot to review the right sneaker, which is the one that has the usual off-white zip tie. Now, the zip tie here is the usual plastic zip tie. However, it's covered with a kind of, or treated in such a way that it's covered with a kind of felt material. And what that felt material does is to replicate turf, astroturf, or grass. And I guess that's a nod to the athletic purpose of these shoes and its history in terms of being a track shoe or a running shoe to be used on all sorts of surfaces, I imagine, including astroturf and artificial surfaces. So just an additional design element on the Nike Off-White Vapor Street, and I find this very stylish, and I find this very interesting. And with that, we have the end of the video and a last look at the Nike Off-White Vapor Street. Very interesting sneakers. They get a lot of attention and they're very comfortable. I would recommend anybody that they should get a pair. Anyway, YouTube, thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe, make comments in the comment section, ask any questions you need to or you want to. And until next time, peace. It's up.